for being here. What do you know about dog abuse?
I know that dog abuse is bad and that people should not abuse dogs. And, yeah.
Do you have a dog that you rescued or just a dog in general?
Yeah, I have a dog. I didn't rescue it, but I do have a dog.
Have you reported anyone abusing a dog?
No, I've never reported anyone, but I do know of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have they done to report a dog?
What have they done
Yeah,
to
like-
report it? They've called the animal shelter and stuff and have gotten the dog taken away from the abusers.
What do you think would make someone abuse a dog?
Honestly, I don't know what would make anyone abuse a dog because that's just really bad, and I don't think anyone should abuse a dog ever. And I hope that whatever is making them do that, they should stop doing whatever.
How many dogs do you get from abuse every year?
So each year, in general, we get about 8,000 to 9,000 dogs into the facility, and those would be animals that have come in either as stray pets or pets that come in being relinquished by their owners. Of those, abuse is kind of a fluid term in that many of those animals might not be in great shape, they might not be well cared for, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're abused. So, true abuse cases that we pursue through the courts are generally in the neighborhood of 20 or less a year.
Know about dog abuse?
I know it's gotten kind of worse. It's gotten a little bit worse, especially in the state of New Mexico, just because I think they're able to classify dog abuse a little bit more. And now it's not just somebody that has 4 or 5 dogs. It's somebody that could be fighting dogs. It could be somebody that's keeping their dogs out in the cold, in winter months, things like that. So I know there's a lot of different versions of what dog abuse looks like now.
Do you have a rescue dog?
I do. Actually have 2 rescue dogs, and one is more of a pit bull, and then who's nice, and he's a big pit bull. He's about 12, 13, great dog. And then I have a little smaller one who kind of just jumped in the car as I was trying to get him to come to the car because he was just running down the street. Ended up just becoming kind of my dog because the pound didn't have any records of him or anything.
Have you ever seen a dog get abused, and how did you feel?
I haven't seen a dog really get abused. I did see a guy kind of hit his dog one time. I don't one of the things that I really don't like seeing is, even in videos or social media, somebody that abuses a dog, especially when it's something like a pit bull, because I have I really do like pit bulls. I think they're amazing, smart dogs, very compassionate, and I have a hard time seeing somebody abuse dogs. I don't know how I would handle that personally.
What is the aftermath of a dog getting abused?
The dogs that we see through the facility that have come through and are truly cases of abuse and or neglect tend to be very untrusting of people and possibly of other pets. They're not well socialized. They're very uncomfortable or nervous or skittish around people and maybe just around the world in general. And they can take a lot of time to gain trust and to learn to trust again. And often they're underweight and they need to have that addressed as well.
Why do you think people abuse their dogs?
That's a good question. I think it goes back to that old saying, hurt people hurt people. So if somebody who comes from a traumatic experience, or they come from an experience of abuse, right? If they're in a household of abuse as a kid, then chances are they're going to grow up to be abusive themselves unless they work on that and they get help. So it's kind of like what a kid sees is what they're going to, model their behavior from.
Why do you think anyone decides to abuse their dog?
I can't figure that out after 3 decades in this industry. It makes no real sense to me, but people have flaws and sometimes mental challenges that could cause them to be unpleasant towards people and pets. I wish I knew, because then I could maybe do a better job at trying to fix it.
What is
What do you think needs to happen to stop dog abuse?
I think maybe just like further like background checks maybe on people that are like adopting dogs or like that have dogs. I think people should be more aware of like what other people are doing to their animals and stuff like that.
Counseling, and then they have to work on themselves, because the animal is one of those things. Like a dog is very loyal. So if a person's abusing a dog, they're abusing that dog because they know that dog's going to be loyal and come back to them, right? That dog doesn't have a voice, really, and it can't call the cops, it can't do all those things. So it's an easy target, and that's why people, I think, sometimes do those things.
How do you think dog abuse can get better?
Well, I think it needs to start, again, I think, with people. I think people need to get better at getting help. I think people need to learn how to cope with trauma and abuse in their family and in their lives themselves. And I think when they learn how to cope with those things and they have the skills for those, then they don't project those onto things like animals and kids. And that's the only way it gets better, is people have to get better themselves first. If somebody is, in a bad place, they're going to take that, a lot of times they take that bad place out on other people. And if that dog is there, they're going to take it out on that dog or kids or whatever the case is.
How many dogs have recovered from abuse?
Ooh, I would say it is quite often probably a 50-50 proposition in our world. Enough time and effort, most dogs could recover from very abusive situations, but we've got limited resources, so we can't always help or recover every single pet that comes through.
Have you ever had to take care of an abused animal?
The shelter has certainly had to take care of many animals that probably qualify as being abused and or certainly neglected. And again, we do our best with our limited resources to be fair and forthright and honest with all the pets that come through the facility and all the resources that we have allocated.
What is one piece of advice you would give someone before adopting?
I think that you should make sure that you have the time to put into a pet when you adopt it. Do your research on the pet that you are adopting. So when you come to the shelter and you ask about the pets here, ask a lot of questions, find out any history that we have, any observations that we have, and just be prepared to take a dog home, take a pet home and give it your time. Make sure that you have all the supplies you need. Ask a lot of questions. Yep. Okay.